thank you for joining us today. We've got an excellent panel here to talk about cloud innovation. My name's Mike Milner, VP of Cloud Technology at Trend Micro. And I'm joined here with Sarbjeet. Introduce yourself for us.
Sure. Hi, this is Sarbjeet Johal. Actually, I'm doing industry analyst work. I have worked in the industry for 27 years at vendors like Oracle, VMware, EMC, and I won't name the rest, so you can look it up when you want. So yeah, that's me. And this year I'm with theCUBE here as an analyst. So getting the behind the scenes scoop from AWS folks and visiting you guys and other vendors. It's awesome, man. So yep, that's me.
And we're also joined by Jason. Jason, why don't you give us a quick introduction?
Thanks, Mike. My name's Jason Cradit. I'm the CIO and CTO at Summit Carbon Solutions, the world's largest carbon capture and sequestration company.
Excellent. So thank you both for joining us. And the topic I'd like to talk about today is cloud innovation. We're at AWS reInvent. So many announcements, so many launches of new technology, new capabilities. It's an exciting time. Sarbjeet, you've been in the industry a long time. What do you think is the primary driver for companies adopting the cloud?
The number one driver is the agility. Everything comes after that. In the short term, people when try to save money by using cloud, they are surprised a little bit. You know, you don't save money in the short term. There's a lot of cost of moving to the cloud itself. But in the long term, you are better off in your TCO. So number one driver is moving fast, innovation, rate of innovation, beating your competition. So that's where number one value lies. And there are so many other benefits, you know. So because you get to leverage your infrastructure at a dense level. You know, we have come from virtualization, from sort of virtual machine to container to now serverless, billing at millisecond level. So it helps you reduce your expenses when you are cloud native. Actually, I have to say that when you are cloud native, and a lot of people are. We will get into this other thing as we talk. A lot of people are surprised with the cost of it, but cost can be lowered as you architect it right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great aspect, and especially love the agility angle, right? Companies need to move fast, bring that value to their customers.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think about innovation in the cloud, and I think the primary concern I have is, 4 or 5 years ago, Andy mentioned fighting gravity. And you're in this, remember that keynote? And you're just stuck in this world of like trying to compete. And so the agility gives you the opportunity to go compete, right? And so what happens is, a lot in my mind is you're either a greenfield and you can just go cloud native out of the gate, or you've got all these mountains of tech debt that you have to go deal with, right? And so in my mind, the agility is either you're fighting gravity to get to where everybody else is, to keep yourself competitive, or you're just starting there and watching everybody else fall behind. So to me, it's a mindset, it's an attitude that you just want to go and lean in. And if you can't, you're not going to keep up in today's modern kind of workplace.
Absolutely. Yeah, just Vernon is talking right now, but we just sort of took 5 minutes before we just started recording this. He's saying, the slide was like, evolve or die. It's so true. If you don't evolve, you will be left behind.
Yeah,
you have to, many people say like, okay, they're sort of dragging their feet. I usually say that if you don't come here, you can't go there.
That's right.
So you can't leapfrog, so you have to pay that technical debt, as you said.
Exactly.
And then you go forward,
Now, Jason, you've gone through a lot of cloud transformation in your experience. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, no, definitely, right? We've had, coming from a large, stodgy industry, we've had the opportunity to build monoliths. And then we were like, man, we got to break down these monoliths. What are we going to do, right? And so, I've been really lucky to have the team of people I've gotten to working with over the years that understands, have a huge amount of drive to go be better, find opportunities to move ourselves into more containerized workloads or microservices or patterns and those sort of things, right? And so it never happens. It's not easy. It won't happen by accident. You have to be intentional about it and focused on it. But it really takes the people coming along with you to go on the journey and just believe we can be a little bit better, create more efficient architectures, and drive our business forward.
Yep. That's a great aspect, especially the people angle, right? Like we're all here in person. It's been a while since we've gotten to do that. It's nice. Now, You must have had challenges, though, in your transformation.
Oh, no question, right? There's all sorts of challenges, right? And the challenges there's all these levers you got to pull, right? And one of the levers is always security. It's job one, right? And so when you start to go invent, and we had how many product launches this week? Yeah. And what happens? Go play with it. And I want my teams to go play with these things, learn the new technologies. But inevitably, you've got to balance that with how do you do it securely, right? And so tools like Sentry or Cloud Conformity help you look at blind spots before you can really be sure. Sure, the service itself is secure by default. That's an Amazon promise, AWS promise that we just believe in and love. But that still leaves open opportunities for my team to maybe make bad decisions, right? Yep. So providing guardrails, at least visibility of new technologies, allowing them to explore and play, but then also these guardrails for like, oh wait, we can learn and be a little bit better. So the visibility from Sentry and Conformity allow us to go innovate faster.
Yeah, I'll add a little bit to that because I've seen a lot out there. So I think the trick is to do the principle-based architectures, right? Because there are so many options. For example, if you just want to do containers, there are like 5 ways you can consume containers through AWS alone.
Right.
Forget about on-prem or other sort of vendors, VMware or whatever else. So you have to pick one or pick a couple, maybe maximum, right? You can't get spread out thinly if you don't control that sort of consumption model, if you will. Mm-hmm. Because this is I talk about this a lot because developers move jobs a lot, right? So number of developers doubles every 3 years in the world since 1980s. That's a lot of people. Don't understand that the seriousness of that. So they it's in their DNA to be on the cutting edge, and they want to be get the latest shiny object and play with it. But I think it's architects and the senior sort of technical management, if you will, they have to sort of contain that to a certain extent. Yes, you want to do experimentation. That's what cloud is about, actually. The most innovative companies are the ones which experiment at a higher pace than their competitors. That's how it works, right? So cloud lets you do that, but gotta keep the balance, as you said.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when AWS first launched, it felt magical that you could go and put in a credit card number and just have servers, just like that, right? The amount of, capability in this, and how many services are in AWS now?
Oh, who knows?
Hundreds.
Right?
250 or so.
Growing, and so many choices, right? And you mentioned Cloud Sentry. This is our newest announcement this week at reInvent. And one of the things that I'm most excited about this technology is, as you mentioned, it allows our security solution to really inspect your whole account.
Right.
Because you have so many options in the cloud that you could have hundreds and hundreds of instances, containers, serverless functions, and to be able to get that combined view, I think is really, really powerful.
It is, but to me, what's really good about it, and to your point, the people they fear obsolescence. They're fighting for how do we be better? How do we, use the most modern tools? But you need the guardrails. And so what's interesting to me about Sentry is it's unintrusive. You can just kind of connect it into the system and start getting feedback without having to have your developers add tooling to their CI/CD pipelines or put an agent on a machine. You immediately get some level of feedback, and then you can kind of look, do I need to care about that or not? It gives you a list of prioritization to go focus on. And so the unintrusive nature of it is what's most interesting to me.
Now, it seems just as we are rounding out the COVID wave, there's now talks of financial impacts, this recession idea. There's been a lot of tech layoffs. Feels like there could be a retraction in the industries. How do you feel these financial impacts on companies are going to shape out over the next year or two?
I think financial impact will make companies to reassess their technology consumption. We're talking in that context, right? So they want to make sure they are using the right architecture. They are there's no problem of cloud sprawl, if you will. They want to make sure what they have is secure and it is scalable when they come out of when we come out of this sort of like downturn. We hope that we will do soft landing, or we call it, right?
Yes.
So the dip will be short, but you have to manage it as it comes. And by the way, as an enterprise, you are with everybody else, so you're not alone in this. And another thing is that I strongly believe in this, that cloud actually helps you in the bad times as much as it helps you in good times. In bad times, the cost of capital is higher, so you cannot spend money on the capital intensive sort of on-prem technologies, which you shouldn't be anyways these days. But just in case you were planning, so you can install that and start using cloud to your advantage. And even in cloud, actually, there are opportunities to move from the older architecture to newer architecture. Because cloud is getting about 10 years old, if you started early, you have opportunity to go from the old instances to new instances, old databases to new ones. So there are some benefits you can reap by moving within the cloud to the newer architectures.
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, that density, right? You can be more efficient with
more
the cloud.
efficient, because just look at how dense we have made the computer. I usually say it's age of micro consumption. So we're making everything micro. It's age of miniaturization on the hardware side as well as software side. We're doing microservices and all that, but we are doing the billing at the microsecond level for serverless now. Almost every service at AWS has been made like pay per drip. It was like earlier you will get a virtual machine, you are using 10% of it, like 90% is wasted. Today, you don't have that problem. Servers can grow, the compute can grow on as you need, and you are not billed if you are not using that compute. Storage is the same way, networks are the same way. So there's a lot of innovation actually coming down the pike as well, as we heard from the analyst sessions, what they're working on. So stay in cloud, and as Adam said in his keynote as well, so being in cloud makes you more maneuverable during these tough times.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, one of the greatest promises of the cloud is elasticity, right?
Yeah.
And so the ability to stretch when you need to and shrink when you don't, to me, is one of the primary drivers. And these economic things happen, right? They're going to happen. And I'm often a very optimistic person, so I like to say, never let a crisis go, unmatched, right? Like, never let a crisis ruin your day. And so now we can lean in and say, all right, what can we do? What could we re-architect right now? And that keeps your skills fresh, it keeps your teams motivated, and they're driving real business right now by shrinking costs of IT because they can, because they're in the cloud, you're able to do that more efficiently.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I really like that idea, taking the opportunity of I won't say disaster because that's a bit doomsday, but a slowdown, a downturn.
Right. That's right.
Now, as you're redoing these things, rebuilding architecture, what do you think of the big cloud security challenges over the next year or two?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, to take advantage of some of these new services and features, you also have to understand how to secure them appropriately, right? And so there's a lot of advantages to going for it, trying the new services, finding out how they might reduce costs, as you said, right, or create some new efficiencies to boost performance and cost, or reduce costs at the same time. But you got to find a way to secure it. And so having those good playgrounds that allow your teams to go try and build and test, but then also to lean over and say, well, hold on, what are the guardrails? Can we use a service control policy, or should we limit IAM permissions to just help people make good decisions, but not take away the opportunity to build and innovate? And so that, to me, is the biggest challenge, is of kind of balancing that, because often cybersecurity feels like you're saying no, like you're pulling them back, and we want to do that within the realm of making progress, right? So it's not about moving it from 80 miles an hour down to zero. It's about maybe saying 60 miles per hour is the right for this innovation, the right step for this. So to me, it's all about, how do you find the tooling? How do you find the connectivity where we need to secure things? So that's visibility. That is, how do you operationalize it once it's ready? And then, how do you monitor it once it's in production?
Yeah, I see security as a sort of insurance policy kind of stuff. It's the risk mitigation. You're never 100% secure, but you want to be as secure as you can be, right? So security is paramount because of the loss of data, your brand erosion, when the data gets leaked and all that. But security on the technical side, security is getting complicated because we have more sprawl of the microservices. We have containers now spread all over the place. The container security is a paramount sort of concern as of recent talks. I was at the open source conference in Detroit. Get the name of it. So that topic was very paramount. And security, as we know, in cloud is a shared model, right?
Absolutely.
So that throws a lot of people out. It's like, hey, like, what does that mean? What do they secure? What do we secure? Actually, that actually needs to be more clarified, and education is needed to especially the newcomers to the cloud. Like, okay, you still are responsible as a customer. You still are responsible for the security of your data, of your applications, unless you are using SaaS, but which people use. But most we're talking in this case is more of infrastructure as service and platform as service. It's your responsibility to secure it, but a lot of responsibility falls on the shoulders of vendor as well, which is in this case AWS. It can be other vendors, Azure or Google Cloud.
Yeah, we think about that a lot as well, right? You've got AWS, and they're doing a tremendous job on their security, but then the customer portion, it's hard to, I don't want to say that we don't have security experts out there, we do, but they're in short supply, and our customers might not have the security expertise that they want to have. And I think given the breadth of the cloud, it's hard to ask anyone to have that much expertise.
Yeah, Mike, I was going to go there. So the recommendation I give the enterprises is, like, depending on the size. If you're a big company which has 1,000+ people, IT team, you will do security differently than if you have like a mid-sized company. So if you go from top to come lower, managed services is a great way to consume it. Platformic approach to security is a great way to approach it. We all know that there's a sprawl of, like, if you look at the money going into security and how many startups are in this area, it's crazy. So you want to stay with the vendors which have sort of time-tested platform, and they have breadth of options within that platform. Because this is a new term I have put out there. It's called feature proximity. So when you're doing one thing and you want to do another thing, where do you go to get that feature? Right. In this case, okay, you are securing your workloads this way. Now you need to secure it this way because you are using containers or serverless. Where do you go to get that additional feature? Exactly. It's very important. It should not be frictional. You shouldn't need to go to another vendor and sign another contract. So go to the people who have breadth of services. That's what I recommend. I bet you guys have it.
I totally agree. I think the breadth of security services matters, so you don't introduce new vendors for that, new vendor for this, and those sort of things. But also, to me, trajectory matters, right? And so not only do they have that platform that they can stand on, but they keep on innovating. And so you keep on seeing new products added. So the trajectory of the vendor also matters. Yeah, you want to protect yourself today, but also for where you're going. And that is hard to find in a vendor, and certainly Trend Micro has that and has done it for years.
Jason, good point. Actually, one of the idea of the responsibility of the leadership at technology level is to future-proof your investments, right? So that's right. You want to future-proof your security investment as well. Yeah, definitely.
That's right.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot lately about cloud-native application protection platforms, CNAP, and it really speaks to that same concept, right? Point solutions no longer work. Bringing it together in a platform.
It might work here. But you have all of this, right? And so why create the confusion? Then you got to figure out how to integrate those with these, and to your point, it just creates incredible inefficiencies in the business.
Any final advice to our viewers on where they should be thinking for next year, trends that might be happening, or really any views on what's going on and what they should be thinking about?
I would just go back to, never let a good crisis go to waste. We are going to hit some tough times. We're going to see layoffs. We're going to see some tightening of the belts, right? But with that also comes opportunity. Opportunity to show the value of the cloud by reducing with the elastic, sort of measures. Or lean into security and find a new way to take some of those tech debt security things off the list, right? Lean in, focus on what you can do right now, and I think we're going to get through it fine.
Yeah, I think that my advice is time tested. The proverb or saying in tech is like, build what differentiates you, buy what doesn't differentiate, buy what is table stakes. So go to the vendors, leverage their expertise. I usually say that the cloud works on two premises. One is the economies of scale, the other is division of labor, because I use that fancy term rather than saying specialization. So in cloud, all this vendor ecosystem around any CSP, any cloud service provider, there's a plethora of vendors who are very mature in what they do. At what they do, it can be security, it can be scaling, it can be, all different facets. Databases vendors, like new vendors are coming up, so they put a lot of money into innovation. You want to leverage that. You don't want to do the things which you can give it to a top vendor yourself. So that's my departing through.
Yeah. Jason, Sarbjeet, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Enjoyed it.
Appreciate it.